Shabbat Shalom and welcome to another one of our weekly Virt-Shuls. Virtual shul, in case you don't get the pun there. Bringing some announcements to you. Every morning we have Shafra at 8 o'clock, Sunday 8:30 on Zoom. There's a daily Mishnah class at 1:45. There's a Wednesday evening session on belief, Thursday on the Parsha. This Tuesday, Lag BaOmer, very special event that we will be hosting with lots of entertainment for all of the community, magicians, singers, DJs, lots of fun, all on the web, shulinthewood.com/fete, F-E-T-E, as in the party, the garden party in the summer. This week, Parashat Emor is the only thing to add. The prayers are as usual. Parashat Emor has, again, lots of mitzvot, 24 mitzvot asay, positive commands, and 39 los asay, mitzvot that we can't do. The Torah section speaks at the beginning about the high priest and the purity and their service. It speaks about some of the sacrifices, and then it gives us a lovely rendition of all of the festivals and the holidays, which we actually read many of the festivals that piece. And it ends with the story of a man who's been executed for blasphemy in public. And the Haftarah is from Ezekiel, similar to the Torah reading, the Kohanim, the priests in the future temple, how after the final redemption and the impurity that they should avoid getting to, and the ties that they will be receiving. That's the Torah reading. Shabbat begins this evening at 8:21. The earliest time to light the Shabbat candles is at 7 p.m. We'll have a 6:30 online pre-Shabbat Kabbalat Shabbat, and Shabbat ends tomorrow at 9:33. Another thing to bring your attention to, we're really blessed in our community with the volunteers that have been delivering this to the elderly members, loads of love with 2 chalot, and it's just bringing the warmth, the happiness, the joy that we are not together in shul, but to bring it to people's homes. This arrived for some of the kids. If you didn't get one, please let me know. This is for the Lag BaOmer party on Tuesday. That's it for the announcement. One other announcement I will say is at the end of the sermon today, I will be doing a memorial prayer for those who have Yortzeit this week. We have the list, and if you would like to stay for that bit at the end, if you have a loved one that you'll be observing Yortzeit for this week, their name will be mentioned. Okay, that is the public service announcement. Now let's get on with the speech. So, thank you for your feedback on my sermons. I really appreciate, certainly the positive ones, the negative ones I take as well. I know many of you heard my children at the end of last week's sermon. This is the new age technology, but it picks up the sounds from around the house. I heard some of you have to rewind to hear the punchlines of my jokes again, and some of you have rewinded and still not got the punchline, but that's okay as well. And this week actually I had a challenge coming up with the sermon and in fact finding a joke. And yesterday when I was preparing or trying to prepare, my daughter came over to me. She says, "Dad, how do you know what to say each week in your drasha, in your sermon?" I said, "Well, I get inspiration right from up heaven, right from up there." She looks at me confusingly and then says, "Well, if that's the case, why do you keep crossing things out?" That's the joke. One of my friends once said to me, "Your job, giving a speech, giving a sermon, is to speak, and their job is to listen. Make sure you finish your job, before they finish theirs." But there are so many anecdotes, so many jokes about rabbis' sermons. And some of them are funny, some of them are less so. But there are also many terms to actually describe the rabbi's sermons. Some call it the weekly drosh, the weekly talk, the sermon, as we've just said, the rabbi's speech. That's just some of the many usages of terms. But in Hebrew, there is actually a nuance, small nuance, between the meaning of the word vayedaber, which comes up a lot in the Torah, and he spoke, and vayomer, and he said. What's the difference? The difference is that speaking, vayedaber, denotes hard speech, straightforward, objective, a speech with accuracy, a message with precision of how it should be done. In contrast, vayomer is a softer speech. It's tailoring one's words subjectively. Is the message that you're saying reflective of the full consciousness of the recipient? will they get it softer. Which leads us to the beginning of this week's Torah portion, which says, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. And God spoke to Moses. Usually it says Vayedaber, but here it's Vayomer, and he said to Moses, Emor el HaKohanim, speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, Va'amarata aleihem, and say to them. The sages note two things. First of all, not the usual Vayedaber, the Emor, the saying. And secondly, the double term. Speak to them and say to them that they shall say. What is all this about? Rashi notes from the Talmud that it's Emor v'yomarta l'hazer gedolim al haketanim. It's instructing the elders that the message that they are hearing today from God via Moses, they have to educate and teach to their children, to safeguard it as well. And the Torah is giving us the most important message in education and in passing on from one generation to the next. And that is to be a good educator, to be a good parent, to be a good teacher and even a good friend. One has to understand softly and gently the need of the other. What is the issue that they have? What is the challenge that that individual is facing, that their behavior that you are observing now needs addressing? And when we are able to look at it in that way, it's much easier to give over and instruct. But this model is not just in terms of how we deal with somebody else when we come in contact with them. It also applies to ourselves. We also have a gadol and a katan. We have our brain, which is sort of our more powerful component that thinks and understands and comprehends. And we have our emotions and our actions, which is katan. It's less, easier to do, takes less of our time. We have lahazhir hagedolim hakatani. We need to instruct our own consciousness, our own mind, our own cognitive capabilities, that they too shall gently instruct our action. And the two need to work in sync as well. Today in the Hebrew calendar is the 14th day of Iyar, which is exactly 30 days from the offering of the sacrifice, the Paschal lamb. And for those Jews that were unable to do it in the desert, came to Moses and asked for another opportunity, and they got Pesach Sheni, a second Pesach. No other festival do you have a second Rosh Hashanah or a second Yom Kippur. You have to wait till the next year. So today Pesach Sheni's message is, give yourself another chance. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom, peaceful, in good health, and with blessing. And now, as mentioned, we will do the memorial prayer for those who are observing Yortzeit this week. We will do first for the females, the mothers and sisters, and then we will do for the males, for the fathers and brothers and husbands, etc. El Molei Rachamim, Shoychein Bamroimim, Hamtzei Menuchon Achoino Al Kanfei Ashchino, V'malo Es Kedoshim Utoyim, Kazoy Hararakia Masirim, Es Nishmas, Reina Bat Shlomo Levi, Sora Freda Bat Mishulam Alevi, Betsy, Hildefreda, Rosie Bat Natan, Rachel Bat Asher Rogoff, Chana Bat Yisrael, Patricia Ben Avram, Bluma Bat Binyamin Utal, Sarah Bat Farah Elias, Sacha Bat Yosef Rosen, Chava Bat David Kaplan, Etel Bat Shmayo Schmidt Bodner, Shalchu Leolamon, Bavo Shemishpachtan, Yiten Staka Bat Askarat Nishmatan, Gane Eden Temenuchatan, Lachein Malarachamim Yastirehen Besesek Nafav Lolamim, Yitzror Bitzorachayim Et Nishmotehen, Adonai Hunachalatam. V'tanuchu v'shalom ha-mishkavan v'nomar amen. And now for the males. El malay rachamim shoyechein b'amroimim hamtzei menucha nechoino ha-kanfei ashchino v'malos kedoshim otoirim kazoy hararakia masirim es nishmot Yaakov ben David Halevi kalafet Zev ben Chaim Halevi Lobo Moshe Chanoch ben Yohul, Yaakov Steinberg, Natan Kohn, Yaakov ben Baruch Halevi Friedman, Zalman ben Chaim Fenton, Chaim Dov ben Mordechai Halevi Dol Steinberg, Yosef ben Aron Steinitz, Chaim ben Chirafa Halflom, Shmuel Aaron ben Chaim Ozim, Ben Sion ben Avram Gesikin, Eliezer ben Avraham, Jacob Shalchu Lolamon, בעבור שמשפחתם ייתן צדקה בדס קודש נשמתן, בגן עדן תנה מנוחתם לכם בעל הרחמים יסתיריהם וששי כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצר החיים את נשמתם, אדוני ונחלתם וינוח בשלום משכבם, ונאמר Amen. Chaim Haruchim, wishing long life to all those, and Shabbat Shalom. God bless.